My name is Betty. I am your host today, and I am really thankful that you are here with us to watch this episode. The whole month we have been talking about the boy child and the man. We have come a long way. We began by asking, where is the man who is raising the boy child? We were able to look at the man, whether he's too busy to love, and whether he is man enough to say I do. Today we're going to be looking at the ideal man. We promise that at the end of this month we shall be presenting to the society the ideal man. Before we find out whether that ideal man is here with us or he's just an imaginary figure, I would like my guests to introduce themselves, and I will start with the lady. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, GBS, for having me today. My name is Faith Nashipai. I am the Executive Director of Thriving Families Kenya, and I'm happy to be here.
Good. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Betty, and the GBS team. Chris Kemori, Programs Coordinator, Kenya YMC. I'm excited. I'm a man. So the issue of an ideal man, I want to know whether I am the ideal man or there's something else attached to the ideal man. Looking forward to this discussion.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Luca. I'm a pastor, and I'm happy to be invited to this meeting. And it's my first time, and I'm a bit nervous, so you bear with me. All the same, I will give my best.
No worries, you will make it. Thank you, gentlemen, and Faith, for showing up well. This time, it's important to show up, right? It's very important to show up. So we want to know, really, we have come a long way this month. We have one more day to talk about this boy child before we exit and do something else. And before we do, Faith had promised, when we began this month, that we're going to be presenting the ideal man, that man, because there have been a lot of complaints on the boy child. He's this, he's this. When you looked at where he is, what we found out would shock you guys, that 95% of them are in prison. 9 a.m. on a Monday or Tuesday, when the girls are in the offices working, the boy is the one on the street saying, haki yetu. And you're wondering, who are the fathers? Who are the heads of the family? What are these guys doing out here? And if you look at the society right now, everyone is busy empowering the girl and the woman. So the woman grows up, she knows exactly what she's supposed to do. She's very much well empowered to take up her responsibilities. She is busy doing what she has been taught how to do. She ends up in the marriage age and she decides, I don't need that useless man. She decides, I can get a baby and take care. I can buy a car for myself. I can buy a house. I can educate even my own children. So, this is life. I don't need that guy, that dude in my life, in my house. If it is a baby that I need, whatever, and then come back and do the must do. So this is how the boy child has been neglected. This is where he has been placed, and no one finds value at all in the man again. In the olden times, I had mentioned earlier that everyone wanted to have a son, and there came a time in society that if you did not have a son, you were not woman enough. You were not man enough to lack a son in the society then. But though they really struggled and envied having the sons, time came. Nimezaa kijana tena as this, looking at where he is. So we have had options in the show, and today we want to present the ideal man. You started by saying you are a man.
Yes.
Yes. So would you say you are the ideal man before we actually get to know who is this ideal man? Society is so disappointed.
True.
Do we still have an ideal man somewhere?
To begin with, and to answer that, yes, we have actually not only an ideal man, but an ideal man. But again, as Betty has said, the society is very much disappointed. One, because we had our societal expectations. And the man was defined by the society, Then we came to the Reformation time, where right now we are defining man depending on the current regime that we are in. So you find when there is there is a lack of balance between the society and what we can call about the modern society, then that gap brings confusion. That's why people will talk about, hey, real men don't exist anymore. Because if we base our argument on the society, then we might find that real men are not there, or ideal men are not there. But when we come to the modern society, where we have, yes, you've said, both empowered women who are not defining men in an empowered state, again, we might lack the ideal man. But believe you me, there's the ideal man. And I believe, yes, I believe in myself, I am an ideal man.
Wow.
And I define the term ideal as meeting the expectations. It's more of in the mind of people. Who is this man that I want to, or that ladies want, or the society wants to meet? But if we go in details, we might also bring some few characters that define who an ideal man is. But I believe, yes, ideal men exist, and they are still there, and I am one of them.
Wow.
Yes.
Luca, what do you think? Is the ideal man in existence or just imaginary?
Yeah, ideal men exist.
Oh.
And I'm proud to say I'm one of them. I'll first begin to say ideal men are not born, but they are made.
Ah, okay.
I would say my background was leading me to be very useless, somebody who does not care, and somebody who had no hope, and somebody who would have lived a very useless life. But along the way, I got somebody who began to nurture me, to sensitize me, and to make me realize whom I am. The background of becoming an ideal man is when you first begin to realize whom you are.
Wow.
Because when it comes to how I was born with too much ambitions. And as a saying goes, too much ambitions kills a man, and little of him takes him nowhere. Because my ambitions were too much, I could not meet them. I could fulfill my dreams. So this used to stretch me too hard, such that instead of realizing my goals, I was getting confused. So I got a man who began to nurture me from a time when I was about 40, could now begin to realize, my God, you mean these are just illusions in life?
I know.
Especially when I started looking for a girl to marry. I had too much ambitions. But I came to be challenged by realities of life that I'm just but dreaming. The kind of an imaginary girl I'm trying to chase cannot be realized. So by that, I came now back to myself, and I begin now to focus on what can I do for myself.
I'm glad you did that, and you did that at 40. That tells me it's never too late. And as I said, that man is not born, he's made. Thankfully he got a mentor, because if he didn't, you can imagine 40s when he was starting that journey. Women have such a stressor in their lives when it comes to weight, and so women they keep on chasing. What's my weight? What shall I do? I want to cut down, and so they're always looking for the ideal weight. And when we even talk about the ideal weight, all instructors tell them you need to cut down on this, or you need to do a lot of this. If it's a car, you would say panel beating here, cut here, and do this. So I wonder, when he's talking about the ideal made, does it require like a lot of panel beating, or chopping here and there, or stopping this food and this? When you go sometimes to work out, you can really strain working out, and you don't lose the weight until you miss some delicious foods, That way, you may begin the journey to your ideal weight. Faith, did you ever meet an ideal man doing what you do? I know you have a campaign of getting 3 million men together. Have you met an ideal man?
We have ideal men who've been made over time. And I want to start with the basics. Last time when I was here, I told women that they have a responsibility of making their sons. So it's not just a responsibility for the fathers, but it's also a responsibility for the two parents. Now, from that background, you look at who makes a child, who nurtures a child. Because I think our problem is where we start. It is not the man that we see today, it is where he's coming from. He's talked about a background, and he said rightly that he was coming from a background of full expectations.
And ambition.
And who nurtured this ambitious person, over expectations? You get? How was this nurtured in him? That is where the problem starts. Because when the parents are expecting too much of the child, pushing this child against every other goal, and not training the children that the goal that they compete with is their own. So they define who they want to be. They define, this is the kind of person I would want to be. Help them define that figure. And then challenge them to compete against that goal of becoming that figure. Not necessarily competing against child X or family Y or son. You're always the last in class, and there are so many other kids who are number one. You know, it's actually a way of telling this child you can as well go and compete. Then the other thing is how do we communicate to these people? When it comes to the girl, we tell her that this is the way a girl sits, this is the way a girl does things, this is the way you walk. Who tells the boy how to walk? Then tomorrow we expect an ideal man. So an ideal man is made, and he's made right from the basics, and that is the family environment. So women should stop thinking that nimeza kijana mwingine. I have 3 sons, I am so proud of them. And every other morning I'm waking up and I'm thinking, God, give me wisdom to make the best out of these people.
To make them other women's husbands. Their husbands that are ideal.
I just want my sons to be the best that they can be in their capacities.
You know, being
because
the best.
being the best in their capacities will mean that they can transition. The fact that he's already a best and he's confident about himself and he's happy about the person that he is, he's interacting with society, he's doing things the right way. The reality of him transitioning to a good man is very easy.
Yeah. It will flow naturally. You know, a lot of women are raising their children to continue being children like forever, and no one is concerned about them being husbands, you know, in the future. I think that when women are raising their children, it is time they looked at them as future husbands, because that is where they're going to end up. No one wants to bury the children before they become husbands.
You want children forever.
Yes. So they will exit your house and they're going to become people's husbands. So if you're not raising them to become people's husbands, if you can't start now, you will not start it when they're 20s. They will be out of your house. It will be too late for you, you know. So when you talk about the ideal man, Chris, you said you're one of them.
Yes.
And Lucas said they're made. At least he got a mentor who worked with him. Faith said they're made in the family setup. It takes 2 to tangle and do that. So what is it that what composes this ideal man? So that we don't just look at a man in a suit and you're saying, wow, he is ideal.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Betty, for that. Actually, the ideal man has so many components. Actually, when it comes to the traits, the character, you know, that we might define. If you have these characters, yes, you're an ideal man. But again, I like the argument of my 2 other colleagues here, that it's from a base. Where were you brought? You know, like the family setup. The ambitious part of it. You know, men are brought out in like in the Kenyan society, where the society expects you to be the best, to be the top, and you are a man. Anything that happens, hey, you are supposed to solve all issues. You are the man in the house.
Yes.
And, you know, especially our brothers and sisters, if you are the firstborn man, you are told, you know, you are supposed to be the father, you know, anything. So they run to you. And they think if you fail to deliver, then you're not an ideal man. But I believe we are a product of those we interact with, the environment, whether the society, then the school, again, also the family, our parents, how are they treating us? Are they too much also expecting from this man, this boy child? And I am of the same school of thought And I want to say this, everybody is born an ideal person, an ideal man during birth.
Okay.
But the environment that we interact with now changes that, because I believe you're all Christians, and God has destined the best of us to be the best husband, to be the best wife, to be that person that God wanted. But again, when we are born, you're exposed to a different environment that now starts to shape us the vice way or the differently from what when you're growing young and a boy. Now the society keeps on telling you, you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. I also like the analogy that Faith has used there. Girls are taught how to become women, to become wives. And our mothers will be told, hey, sasa huyo atakuwa bibi ya nani? Sasa huyo atakuwa mke wa nani? And you hear even our own mothers reprimanding girls. Sasa ukienda kwa find a woman or the father telling because they think that we are supposed to grow. The other was in a discussion and somebody said men are born to fight. So they are born in the bana na hali yako, wewe tokea upande ule ukiwa umeweza. But I think there are those characters that we grow, as you say, to regain our ideal nature. One, and I want to just be frank with you, when you connect with God because He is our source, He'll guide you and He'll lead you as a man. And I tend to think the best ideal person is the one who knows his creator, who knows his maker, who attaches his being from the source. Because as much as we are nurtured otherwise by the society or by the community, we need also to regain our first, where did we come from God. Then I believe from that, you are supposed to understand now, if you connect with God and you understand what God wants from you, then you become the best ideal man. About the 5 P's of a man, a provider, protector, promoter, the priest, you all understand them. But again, in the other side of, are you, when it comes to provision, are you providing, in decision making, how are you making your decision, are they prudent enough? When it comes also to, other aspects of, physical life, are you also aware of your diet, what are you eating, temperance, how are you balancing issues? There are many, and that's why you gave us an issue of panel beating. I think also, as you said about the weight, and trust you me, out there in the society, they expect a man to be knowing what to be. That's why we are born to be men anyway, to find our nature
without being taught.
Without being taught. But I also believe the role of a mentor. When you go to the gym, yes, you are told you need to have an ideal weight, an ideal physique, or something that you need. And the same way, you need to have ideal men, but you need to be careful. The same way in the gym, somebody will tell you, what, you just want to reduce this part, we can work on, sport reduction. There is no sport reduction also in the terms of being an ideal man. It's wholesome.
It's wholesome.
It entails the whole component of a man. That is the body, the mind, and the spirit. Or the body, soul, and the spirit. We need to be a whole, a wholly ideal.
Okay.
Yes.
Luca, I want to guess that you have a family, and that I mean you have a wife and blessed with children.
Definitely.
If you talk of yourself being an ideal man, how do you treat your family? Because in the society today, the reason people are separating and divorcing is because they are unable to agree.
Okay.
On petty and big matters. And the man, being the leader, is the one being blamed. But he's not showing leadership or taking responsibility of this. And this is where we have things fall apart. We have statistics of Kenya having a very high number of single mothers. And I keep asking, where did the fathers go? The fathers of these children, mulienda wapi? So the families are not one. It is not a complete functional unit because you guys have left what your work is to do. I don't know who you have left this work for. What is so difficult for you in the family that you easily throw in the towel and say, kaeni hapo?
Yeah, just as I said, say that ideal man is made. And my background, especially of having a family, is a bit complicated. Because the way I started with the, of course, men, when they are looking for a wife, they go with the shopping. And I happened to get one, and then we started courting. And then when we were about 2 weeks to get married, the relationship broke. I had prepared everything. I had prepared the clothes. I had where to meet. I had paid the dowry, about 40,000 shillings. I had done everything. But when we are just about to say I do, I said no.
You said?
Yes.
Not her?
Okay, we had a meeting with our mentor. And then I was told, look, how is the progress of your relationship? I say now I feel difficulties to say I'm happy.
Okay.
Then when he was asked, okay, what do you feel about these relationships? He said, it's okay. So I was challenged now to give the evidence. Why do I feel that I have no future here?
Okay.
Because when I started looking at my fiancé, we could not flow in the lives, and I could clearly see that here we have no future. Then we had somebody who was looking behind us, the way we were quoting, and he spotted and said, look, are you very happy with this kind of a relationship? I was bold enough to say no. So,
to me, I think that is being ideal. I mean, to me now, that is an ideal man. Not the one, not the one who continues cooking in the frying pan and they're burning and they cannot say anything, and they pack their bags slowly and just leave.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the kinds of people society is looking at. Yes, please carry on.
Yes, when I said no, then the pastor and the wife, they say, you are not happy, and not just you are not happy, then we give you some time. We terminate this progress until the time you shall reconcile, and then maybe you can say, now we want to be back together.
Yes, excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
But when we parted there, my heart, because of the way I was wounded by my partner, they said, I cannot dare, I won't risk. Because personally, I really wanted to leave preaching the gospel throughout the days of my life.
Yes.
And when I look at my partner, that was not a calling. The issue of gospel, it was being imposed on her. That's why there were so many lapses. Today we are meeting here, today we are going here, and then maybe we meet. I want to hear how has God been working in your life. A lot of errors. So these errors were too much. Until I say, okay, if I'm getting tired even before we come together.
Why start?
Yes.
Why start? That is a man. That is a man who is giving guidance. That is a man who is showing leadership to the family. That is a man who is able to say no and not carrying the investment he has put in. Now there are people who will walk with you and say, and with all the dowry I have paid, you will stay here and suffer.
Lazima tumalize.
There are men who court for about 3-4 years. They are able to see all these red flags along the way. But they feel that I have invested too much into this relationship in terms of time, in terms of resource, But the reality is that you have not invested so much. If you think you have invested so much, get into something called marriage. Walk with this person, then you realize the investment is more.
All right. Okay. Yes. I think I like it. Well, I could be, getting such from Mr. Luke here. It adds value to what we said, an ideal man in terms of decision making, being prudent enough. The word go before give something that you are surely. And I think that not only in terms of marriage and courtship, also in the society, when faced with other things that we know they are not right, it is the time the man stands out and says no. Whether it is corruption, bribery,
not able to voice and say, no, this will not happen.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what has been done and not been done. The investment and time that has gone into this, this is not right, it shall not happen. I think that is an ideal man.
Ideal man was made by parents teaching him that people, human beings, and I like saying, when I'm talking about men, because I talk a lot about men, is about humans. We treat men like things, but we treat women like humans. right? That is why we are okay if she cries, we are okay if she screams. The world will stop if she screams. But let a man scream pale kwa stage ya matatu. Nobody will stop. They're like, haya. Nowadays they scream. This is a mad one. Mwache ni mwendazimu. But nobody gets to understand kama ni nyoka imemuuma, you know, or something has just happened abruptly to him and he just let out. Now we don't treat him as human. He's a him. He has no feelings. He has no emotions. He's not supposed to see clearly. We don't train our sons to decipher situations and perceive them the way they are supposed to be perceived and make the right decisions. That is where we are supposed to go. Because even in school today, a boy will be beaten black and blue. A girl will be beaten 2 strokes and told don't repeat again. But what we have told the son, or he's going to be expelled because of trying to coordinate a strike. Nobody wants to understand what are his issues. I saw the other day someone post a letter by young girls who had decided to go on strike. And honestly, I would agree with those girls. Their issues were serious and direct, you know. But when the boy strikes, because he's not going to write. Him is going to...
He doesn't know how to express.
That's how we have to express it. We keep saying, kijana ni boy child. You'll see a mother in a maternity ward, anaambia kijana wewe acha kichwa ngumu.
From the word go.
Wacha kichwa ngumu. Now, honestly, 2 days old
does not understand what that is.
So we need to get to a place where, as parents, our wordings, the way we nurture these people, the way we train them to become, ask them, how do you feel about this? How would you do? What would be your ideal response? Nurturing these boys to understand that in life, these are issues that will come. But how they act towards them and how they react is what makes them become or not become.
Very true.
Okay. Chris,
Yes.
why are people not staying together? Why are men not there to guide and show the right place? Why are you giving up so quickly and just saying...
To add on that and so that I come to your question, it also goes from what we are trying to talk about here when it comes to idealism. What is ideal? And I also want to add on that and say an ideal man, as you come out and speak your emotions frankly. And this is an ideal man who will not hide the emotions. Just like Luke has said, he knew it won't work. It was hurting inside, and I think it was not an easy thing to say no. I can even tell from the eyes, you know, the memories. It was not easy to say no.
Paying the dowry
2 weeks
of more than 40,000 in 1998.
then that was a lot of money.
Yes. And I gave up. I said, okay, I cannot balance. If I balance with my life and 40, I didn't. Neither did I complain.
So that's it. You know, you are able to bring your emotions out correctly. And why it is together, it's because I would say men are fearing to show their emotions and to react to situations and talk. And I know Faith will agree with me here on statistics where women, I think the higher percentage of women contemplate on suicide, but very less go to act. But men, we think about it, and as she said, we act, even when it comes to other issues on mental health. But if we are able to bring our emotions out, whether to our spouses, our partners, or to those we are dating, we shall discuss them and know why is it not working, why is it this. If it is not working before getting there, then just say no. I think it is easier to say no before getting into it, before getting into marriage.
It's just that men fear to lose.
Exactly.
And also they lack the strength to bring out the emotions, openly, And Luca, I guess you settled later,
Yes.
I guess you settled later.
Definitely.
How do you communicate? Because men have been accused of just dumping or throwing words and they go. They just say and go. They are like the master. Nimesema hiyo ni sheria. Yes. And when women think about this, because women are so, they're so soft, they don't like that harshness, I guess. And so when you're just giving commands and dictating and being the gorilla husband and dad, I mean, people just say, okay, let's see, let's move like that.
Okay. I would still say about when I was getting married, I also looked for an ideal woman, such that the two are ideal. This is exact that I wanted, and now I have her. Okay, I would say I did not get the exact that made me to. So I would still say that I still have a problem.
Okay.
But the problem I have is less than maybe I would have had with the other one.
Yes.
But I would say the real source of friction or conflict in our relationship as husband and wife is the idea of heart to be right and good all the time.
Wow.
Such that I am always right. Wrong.
Okay, she's always wrong.
Yes.
But to her, she's always right, and
Yeah,
to you, you're always right.
Always wrong.
Ah,
So there is that
okay.
kind of a conflict
Yes.
that she is not willing to surrender and to say, yes, I'm wrong in this aspect. I myself, I also don't want to be defeated,
Yes.
especially by a woman.
Yes.
You see?
Yes, very
So
true.
that tug of struggle that will always bring conflict, especially in my case. We have a conflict that my wife, even the other time I testified, my wife likes watching movies so much. On a serious note, such that if you look at her phone, she has downloaded Chinese movies, Nigerian movies, so many of them. And me, I like listening to sermons.
Wow.
I like listening to sermons. So sometimes you may see her with the sermons. There, on the other side, I'm really filled with rage, very angry, because he is talking about films. Because I asked, okay, how are you going to help me with this kind of film that you are seeing? I thought we came together so that at least we may help others spiritually.
Yes.
But look, now we are completely different. And then when I insist on reading the Bible and also watching maybe Pastor Park, she said, me, I'm not spiritual 100%. So there is a conflict about how are we going to balance this. You see? And sometimes the struggle go to the extent that you mind your own business. Leave me. Because me, I'm a very spiritual person. You have to read the Bible about 30 pages a day.
Wow.
Then my wife is weak. She's not like me. However, she is close to the idea because at least she can be modern. But are right.
Wow. We need to take a break. We need to take a break.
That's true, because I agree.
Let's try to convey the situation here. We need some water.
Okay, all right.
Here we are taking, just coming back right now, man, and we're finding out real or imagine with gentleman and a lady who are helping us to find out. This is Chungu cha Jamii. It's our world, our country, our society and community. We talk about marriage, we talk about finances, we talk about parenting, we talk about the boy child, the girl child, we talk about mothers-in-law, we talk about the prisons, we talk about schools, everything that concerns you in the society. We're going to be discussing about resisting peer pressure. We want to talk about why do young people go against authority. I am going to be discussing with you COVID-19 lessons. Today we are talking about molding character in children. We offer solutions. We bring in experts, we bring in psychologists to tell us more on how to handle our problems.
When COVID happened, there was a lot of information on what to do.
Come to this place at Chungu cha Jamii on the round pot, have some soup, and talk about the issues in our community.
The parent, the child, and the teacher must work together in order to inform that child. It doesn't matter how far you've gone, even if you feel like it's too late.
Check the child's behavior. If just something slight changes, don't ignore it.
We are meant to live in peace.
Get to understand yourself. Get to understand your thoughts.
Thank you, viewer. I am glad that many of you have been watching and sending in your comments. Welcome back, viewer. We were talking about the ideal man. Before the break, we had such a heated discussion on, man sometimes raises his standards, and if you don't get up to there, maybe you're also not an ideal woman. But today we're focusing on the man. And so look at things and believes he's an ideal man, and his standards are really, really quite high. And I want to appreciate viewer for watching. Allow me to appreciate Gary Jason is watching from Machakos, says the show is great. Sammy says is watching from Kahawa West. Steve Jr. says listening from Thika. Gishuri says fair conversation. And Beth Wanjiru says watching from Ruiru. So keep them coming. Our SMS line is 21144. We are also on YouTube TV, GBS TV Africa. Please get us on those lines of communication. So talking about the ideal man, before I get to Faith, how does a man communicate? A man may just come and dump or throw words. A man may also just come and say, you have to get here. And if you're not, we have no business. People have accused these spiritual men or people who just raise bars of not listening to them. A woman likes a man who is able to come to her level, who is able to find out what's going on with her and sort it out and make her happy. You guys, a lot of times, think we just need you to fill our fridges and buy us cars and fuel them. But mostly, if you give this to a woman and you have not sorted out her heart issues and her feelings, then I don't think that woman is happy. How do you manage that?
Yeah, in most cases, where sometimes when the tension subsides, we have a very healthy discussions. And then I ask my darling, why are you behaving like this? When we are happy in a jovial mood, we have very good time. Especially when we listen to sermons in the service. I always come and provoke my wife today in the Sunday service. Which point touched your soul today?
Yes.
And then she may begin to say this and this and this and this. Like on Sunday, we were talking about 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 22, especially why Saul was dismissed by God, why he was not able to retain that position of being a king. It is because he followed his own thoughts. When he was told by God to go and destroy all the Amalekites, he spared the Amalekites, and he only destroyed the bad things that he could know that they could not help him. So he was pushed and dragged by a thought, which eventually made him to fail in his mission. So when we are seated with my wife, okay, today, which point? When we begin to discuss this, okay, look at the point about Saul. You be living like Saul, you want to destroy the bad things that you feel they are bad. But when it comes to my commandments, the things that would fulfill our relationship, you don't consider me. And then I can put my point across through the message that we had. And then when you look at what happened to Saul later, then you can you see the direction of our
Doesn't that raise the tensions again?
No. At that time I said, I first cool her.
Yes.
Can we now?
because you want to achieve something. There's a point you want to drive home. You want her to listen. When you listen to him, do you find, do you hear dictatorship?
You know, Betty, one of the reasons, one of the things that I did this morning, and I've been having this question since you told me to come and discuss about the ideal man. I've really done a lot of searching. And one of the questions I did was, I posted on my wall today on Facebook, what is patriarchy? And how is patriarchy affecting the families today? The main definition of patriarchy is where there is either male dominance, or the man is ideally the head of the family, or the head of a societal system, which is highly in Africa and in Kenya today. And it's not going to leave us anytime soon. So when I was asking that question, I was asking this because we are kind of fighting about gender issues and trying to bring a balance in gender, but we are not looking at patriarchy as something that we can unpack, understand, and be able to bring it down to our level today. Right? Because the man has been taught that he's the head of the family. So what he says has to happen. It has to be done. Right? I don't see a dictator, actually. I see a man who has been taught to be assertive. I see a man who has been taught to be, this is the way you're supposed to be, and this is how you're supposed to guide. So for him, he's trying his best in whatever manner, whether a fight or whether in a cool way and a nice sly way, to get the woman to understand
because
and to agree. And to agree with him, because he's still trying to bring her, or to, like, you know, the way you do lobbying, he's trying to lobby her to his vision. Right? So I don't see a patriarchal, I don't see, I see a patriarchal man, yes, but I don't see a dictator in this situation. The only thing that I see is that the patriarchal man has not been taught to listen to the woman. He has not been taught. I mean,
that is how it can be unpacked. That is how patriarchy can be unpacked.
Yes, we are coming from a society. Our societies, our cultures and everything has taught our men that women do not speak.
And I don't think that is true, and that is what you believe. But he had mentioned something before we went on a break about the woman being right and the man being right. And when we were beginning, I'd asked you guys whether the ideal man is real, as in ideal, or imaginary. You know, when a woman wants to get married, there is that man in her mind. And there is that man that she is seeing in reality. And those are two different kinds of people. And the fight of right and wrong always comes in, because the way you think that you know and this is right, that is different from the other person. And just because this is different, then I decode it as wrong. Just because it's different. And so people begin to disagree. I need to know, before I come to Chris, Luca, who should bend their stance?
Wow.
Talking about, I know the woman is the one to submit, you know, but it depends on what your definition of submission is. Are there times, can an ideal man, to just rephrase my question, can an ideal man also lower his stance and say, by the way, you're right, and I think I'm wrong. We can do as you say.
That is where now we are. Because after trying to push and realizing instead of trying to improve the relationship, it is worsening, then I have to surrender. I have to give up. I have to give this issue time. I have to pray and also wait until the time God will change her and bring her to the level of accepting and receiving my point. So it's not a point of pushing, it's a point of now bearing, submitting. You know, obedience has a limit. I may obey until I reach a level that now I cannot bear anymore. But when it comes to I can now submit, surrender, or even lose, And in most cases, I lose. So now I have lost to her. And then I start now waiting until the time God will give mercy. Because it's not a matter of overcoming her.
Are those men available?
Foolish men trying to fight with their wives.
Oh, did he say foolish men?
Let me say this. I like the way he's put it, because when you are trying to fight with your wife, and I like looking at things from also a biblical perspective, the Bible says that the two become one. So when you're fighting your wife, you're actually fighting yourself.
That's true.
So it's better you sit down with yourself and have a conference meeting and kamushamanyo and agree with yourself to disagree.
But who knows that? Who knows that?
Men know that. Chris will tell us. Chris will tell us.
I agree.
They don't accept to lose.
This is it.
Luca accepted to lose.
And that's why I was coming also to the other definition. We talk about characterizing the ideal man. And as he said, an ideal man is somebody who is able to, understand the situation and to salvage in the situation, calm down, and help the other gender feel the ego at that moment. But you are still looking at the issues. We need the issue sorted out. And that's why there is a song that if a man goes up and the woman goes up, who will bring the other one down? It requires for one to come down first so that we can sort out the issues.
And that must always be the woman.
It doesn't have to be the woman always, but either of them. But I think the ideal man ground V2, because you are also regarding to the society, as I answer your question, the society will tell us the woman must come down. Why? Because they say for a man to say no. It is weak for a man to accept to be defeated by a woman. And that's why even when we are growing up in school, ukichapwa na dem, uende uambie mzai, atakuchapa wewe kwanza. Why you unakubali kuchapwa na dem? Those are the issues on the ground. But if you realize that huyu naweza mchapa, but akinipiga tu atasikia vizuri, wewe uniko get to slap moja, then I'm okay. Does not change the manhood in me, does not change the man who I am because of that one instance. I'm not saying that women should beat men or something. I'm just trying to unpack the issue of how we are brought up in a society where a man must stand the ground. A man must not, must not say yes to a woman. And you'll agree with me, we have men out there, even if a woman says, nimepata hii ploti somewhere, and it is worth 60,000 or 100,000, the fact that it has come from a woman, I won't buy into that idea. But if it is me and I go again and I go this, I expect you to agree to it. These are the situations, but ideal men are there to talk, to engage. As much as we have self-conversation, the kamoshemane is saying between myself, also realize that I am married to this woman and we need to come, sit down, agree, and sort our issues out. But I just want to come back to the Luke case. If I raise my standards so high, I am limiting also the functioning of my woman, because I'm not trying to nurture her to be me, of which it is not possible, but I can nurture her to buy into my vision and see. Actually, when you'll find the things the woman is doing, could be is as a result of my standards that I've placed. They are too high to be met. So what do? I lose the woman likes, I cannot get there. Let me focus on myself. But if I go down to the level of this woman, and then we try and walk up together, instead of telling her, if you don't get here, mina kutupa, but I go there. Hey, you're watching a movie. Can I join you today? She'll feel appreciated. Then, hey, darling, in what you are doing, like, hey, can we now grow up together? And I think we are lucky in those men who are willing to go down to the level of their women, and then they grow together as a, the family. It's a whole package. It's a unit.
To me, those are the ideal. To me, those are the ideal. The senators will be coming here.
They can ask about the ring. Yeah. So
when I listen to you guys, what I clearly see is that in our society, out of 100, I would get 10%.
Very true.
10% or 5% of ideal men. If the ideal men are men who are going to say sorry, men who are going to say they are wrong, men who are going to consider buying a plot that have been sought for by a woman, men who are going to agree to lose to a woman. A man would lose anywhere, in anything, but not before his wife.
Let's not be very harsh with our words. Let's change this. Let's be very kind with our words.
Mambo kwa ground ni kulose.
Our narrative is is very wrong.
Bread. Who are the people you are chasing?
Yes.
You really want to be kind to them.
Yes.
But truth be told, I mean,
no. Our
some men are
narrative,
not
our
there.
narrative is what we need to change. We don't call it, what do you call it? Losing to a woman. Right? Because we already say that we have patriarchy here.
You want to sugarcoat it too?
No, I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm only saying that people should agree. Humans should agree. Let's agree. If we are walking a journey together...
Isn't it okay to lose?
If we are walking a journey together, Betty...
Yes.
You don't lose to me, I don't lose to you. We agree.
Mm.
We meet at the middle. It's a meeting point at the middle.
But in order to agree, I have to lose.
Exactly. No, that I have found, I am the one who has identified a 60,000 parcel of land, which is very good and it's a commercial plot. Right? And yes, within our plan, when we are talking with you, we had agreed that we need to have this kind of an investment. Right? So if I go and identify, the way I say it and how I bring it out is what makes the man disagree with me.
That's a different school of thought, which is not bad. But in my opinion, if we are going to agree, one person has to let down theirs and come to the place of the other. And that is what it is to lose. That is what it is to lose.
Probably.
Yes, I lose mine and I agree with yours and we work. That's what agreeing is. But if I hold on to mine and you hold on to yours, there's no agreement.
I think what Faith is saying, I also want to understand her school of coming from. I would again say, well, let me lose to myself. Let me not lose to you. Let me lose to myself. I know it is okay, but anyway,
and you need a very confident man to get there.
And I didn't mind losing to yourself.
Yeah, let me lose to myself.
Not to
you. Let me lose it to myself.
I think, guys, we need to just end here and then do a part 2 of this, that we exhaust and we make sure we have this ideal man, because until now we are still conflicted.
We don't have.
How do you tell a man
we are still conflicted? So let's just end here. Let's end here and then
how now you become an ideal man.
Let's move to part 2. Look, thank you so much, guys. It has been awesome. And thank you, viewer, for watching this. I hope you have enjoyed this. We are moving to the second part. Be sure to watch. My name is Betty. I have been your host. See you soon.
Thank you.